All right, welcome to Lexington, Kentucky. Tonight, it's the Kentucky men's basketball blue-white scrimmage inside Rupp Arena as we continue to march to the beginning of this Kentucky season. Tonight, we've got live action, the blue-white scrimmage, and we're glad that you are with us. With Dane Bradshaw, Kevin Fitzgerald with you. Where else do they show up by the thousand for a scrimmage? Well, welcome to Kentucky basketball. This does act, in a way, as the introduction of a new Kentucky team to the fans and vice versa. Fans back to the team. This year, though, the fans, they see a totally revamped Kentucky team.
A welcome sight, and Coach Cal says last year was a blip. Well, to make sure it was just a blip, they went to work in the offseason. When you look at the weaknesses they had and how many they had to address, they didn't just address some of them, they addressed all of them. Starts with the point guard play. They've got that one solved. Check, cross that off the list. Then you got to have some shooters, right? Oh, went out and got those. Check that off the list. Well, it'd be nice to have some veterans and experience. Boop, got that one. And then you'd love to have depth. And then most importantly, Coach Cal wants toughness. They've got all those boxes checked, which has given new hope to this Kentucky program.
Dane Bradshaw bringing his energy check for the first show of the year.
I'm
no
excited,
question.
man. I'm not at home calling this game with you. I'm right here. Of course I am.
Well, here are these cats. They ring in, if you will, 10th in the AP preseason poll, picked to win the league. They're back at the top, projected to win the SEC. Dane, this is a lot of what you're mentioning right here. Look at some of the grad transfers, an impressive haul that Coach John Calipari brought in.
And they all bring something different to the table, whether it's natural scoring like Grady, shooting Frederick, toughness and rebounding with Oscar Tshiebwe, and then the floor general, Xavier Wheeler, coming in from Georgia, the assist man with the opportunity to be the quarterback for this Kentucky team.
And so here's how we do it. We've got the blue team, you've got the white team. You can see the crowd that's here for this one. Ty Washington, one of the elite freshmen, part of that 2021 freshman class. He really is the highest regarded, the highly touted five-star from Arizona, who many expect some big things from this year.
To show how this is a different type of new team for the Wildcats, the second part of the roster we got to was the incoming freshman. Usually that's the headline, but he's one of the big pieces to this puzzle.
All right, so here are the rosters. You can see how they're broken down. The aforementioned Washington, Wheeler, Watkins, Collins, Hopkins, and Tshiebwe on the blue team. Allen, Grady, Mintz, Brooks, Canada, Ware, and Payne over on the white team. This always a fun event, a celebration of sorts of the team and really participating and playing at full speed. There's Oscar Tshiebwe at full speed for the first bucket. You mentioned it, Dave. While there is so much freshness, there's so many new faces, there's still a lot of roster continuity, a lot of familiar faces back from a year ago. One of them is Dante Allen.
Well, good start for the offense. I'm not sure Coach Cal wants an open layup off the tip and an open three on the other end, but these guys are still figuring it out defensively.
Bryce Hopkins, one of the three in that 2021 freshman class, with a sweet runner in the paint.
As many have said, he has been sort of the surprise. Very consistent. Needs to be a little bit more consistent, but not the most heralded recruit, but he has made an impact early on for this Kentucky team.
Keon Brooks Jr. offline, one of the leading scorers from, of course, the forgettable prior season. Many expect he could have a breakout year. That's Xavier Wheeler left that short. Up ahead to Allen. Blocked, but yeah, goaltend.
You're going to have to learn, if you're Kentucky, that if your point guard shoots a corner three, somebody better be back. And so if Wheeler misses that shot, and he's still the first one back, just not in time. Good play by Allen.
Again, these players, they've been physically competing in practice for weeks. And again, this is really the first opportunity where they're going full speed in a game-like environment, but with fans in the seats as well.
Oh, it's different. There's no question. You talk to any coach around the country, there's always guys that stand out in the summer and then sort of teeter off the closer you get to the season, when you're putting in new offenses, new schemes, and when the big bright lights come on.
There's Lance Ware, nice backdoor cut. Tried to go up with the left, and he's fouled. And as is the case annually with the event, the players on the winning team don't have to run sprints the rest of. No, I'm just kidding. That would be nice if that was the case.
I'm sure Coach Cal would love to be able to do this in a game. Hey, I'm going to run out in the middle of the court before the free throw line and huddle my team up. Well, if only that was a new rule. I'm sure he'll put that on the committee's desk.
Yeah, exactly. And again, expect some fluctuations at times. Coach Cal, he'll readjust the rosters and trade some players this way, that way. Here's Lance Ware, one of the sophomores. I mentioned that roster continuity. You know, Dane, yes, 4 starters are gone off of last year's team, but 5 from the rotation are back. A lot of experience in the form of those transfers. You've got the elite point guard like Washington. This is a uniquely constructed team this year.
And the veterans may be new to the program, but they're not new to good quality coaching. All of them had success and were well coached by their previous programs.
Tshiebwe from 15, that's offline. All part of the lead up to the season opener on November 9th against 9th-ranked Duke. This is Davion Mintz. Remember, he ran the point a few times last year. That pass was tipped and it goes in, so he gets a couple of points. The 6th-year senior from Charlotte back for one more year.
Since these aren't official stats tonight, that's got to count as a field goal and an assist.
Yeah. John Calipari in his 13th season, he's got a lot to work with in a revamped backcourt, including Kellen Grady with the flush.
Certainly a good finish by Grady, but that's where Wheeler's going to have to make sure he takes care of the ball. It cannot be any unforced errors. He had the ball in his hands quite a bit last year for Georgia. Too many turnovers.
Well, that's a great look. Damian Collins diving to the rim. That's freshman to freshman. So 11-8 white team early on. Lob it up. Little offline that time for Lance Ware. Here's Washington. Scores it.
That's a brilliant advanced pass by Wheeler. As fast as he is, that's a new thing that he's got to get used to. Yes, he can dribble the ball up the court fast, but the ball moves even faster. You get it to Washington in the open court, it's over.
That's been a nice tandem in practice we've heard from some of the players and Coach Calipari. Wheeler, Washington working together, youth experience.
It seems like a little thing, but it's a big thing. Wheeler gets it instead of pushing it up the court, head up, advanced pass. Good luck, defense. Ty Washington coming at you.
Meanwhile, a foul on the other end. And Ware inbounds underneath the hoop. There's that long wingspan of Oscar Tshiebwe, who transferred mid-year from West Virginia to Kentucky back in January.
He's got a chance to be the fan favorite if he's not already. I mean, he talks the talk, and he's got a chance to walk the walk in terms of toughness, offensive rebounding. He's going to win Kentucky a few games this year just by them winning the second chance point opportunity against other great teams in this league.
Well, Will goes for the block that time, affects the mid shot. Tshiebwe running the floor, Hopkins cross-court feed. This is Washington, dials it up, no. Tshiebwe with a stick back. And Washington takes it away at half court. Washington five-star McDonald's All-American. His teammates laud him for having this uncanny poise for a freshman. That's the second time he's found Collins, who's got 5.
What a great example of it. He gets the turnover instead of forcing it. He calls for the ball screen, does a one-handed whip pass to the corner. That's a veteran-type play.
Like what we're seeing so far from this Kentucky team. Blue was up by 4.
Oscar Tshiebwe, what did he say? He wanted to get 10 offensive rebounds a game. I don't know if he'll get that, but with that sort of effort, he just might.
SEC Network Basketball is brought to you by Beef. It's what's for dinner. Back inside Rupp Arena, blue-white game version 2021. Here is the preseason poll, and look who's back atop the league, at least projected at this point. Kentucky ringing it at number 10 in that AP preseason poll as well. And projected at the top once more.
I really think those top 4 are really a toss-up for who could win the league, and Auburn knocking on the door there as well. But when you think about Kentucky, they've got their veterans, they've got guard play, they've got shooters, they've got star freshmen coming in. Well, you know what? So does Alabama, Arkansas, Tennessee. They check those boxes too. And so if this was 5-6 years ago in a down SEC, you might be looking at a Wildcat roster that could run the table. But that's not the case anymore. And as the SEC has continued to get better top to bottom in this league.
Yeah, that's Tshiebwe, by the way, who now has 8th, the junior for the Democratic Republic of Congo. And yeah, Dane, you saw 5 numbers right there next to 5 different teams. 5 in the AP preseason poll. We keep hearing depth from not just Coach Cal, but a lot of these coaches across the league, and of course many players taking advantage of the expanded eligibility. So a lot of teams have quite a bit of depth.
Well, every year conferences claim they have a deep league, and this year it's true. I mean, a lot of times it's just lip service, but I think there's 9 teams this year, if you ask their fan bases and their athletic departments, that are looking to be in the NCAA tournament and win a couple games.
And pass went awry from Xavier Wheeler, pardon. He's one of those 4 transfers from Georgia.
We'd like to see Grady get involved here, 31 in white. The speed of the game has bothered him a little bit. He's adjusted in the preseason already. A natural scorer, there you go.
That was a good-looking stroke, but an offensive foul on Lance Ware.
But you love the action there, though. I mean, that's a positive to be able to free up a shooter like that on a quick little give and go at the 3-point line. That's a good way to get him open.
By the way, we've got our 3 officials today: Vlad Tedal, R.B. Clyburn, Troy Mathis. And this one played just about as close to game speed as you can get. Here's Hopkins for 3. Did everything but go down.
Watching Tshiebwe just be all over the court, crashing the glass and ball screener. It's these hedges like that, hedges and ball screens. He's got to make sure he doesn't pick up cheap fouls. He's too important for this team from a physicality standpoint.
Wow, same thing just happened on the other end of the floor. The Ware dunk went down, popped out, and Tshiebwe now into double figures. So he is just cashing in right underneath the hoop.
Right place, right time, but you make your own breaks. He sprints the court. And if you run when Wheeler has the ball, he will find you every single time.
Keon Brooks holds the pivot foot. Sweet jumper. Brooks, the junior from Indiana, one of the captains last year, averaged 10 a game. Poised to take a step forward. We'll see just how far that leap is. And this one's going back to the white.
Well, the COVID year was tough on everybody, especially when you add an injury to it like Keon Brooks had. He had the left leg injury, he had no preseason games, missed the first 9. So of all seasons to try to get in any sort of rhythm, last year was the most challenging. And so it's been nice to see him healthy, moving around. He's got such a sweet touch at 15-footer.
Allen, not that time. He canned along to previously. Wheeler working with Tshiebwe to the corner. Hopkins again triggers and hits it this time. Bryce Hopkins' stroke looks pretty good.
You want to know what being shot ready looks like? Replay that right there. I mean, hands ready, feet ready. Knocked it down.
Here's Grady off an excellent look from Mintz. Blue running 3-on-2. Collins takes it in, blocked, and stays here. Yeah, 16-2 run for the Blue squad. Hey, remember, we've got a triple header of college football tomorrow. Starts with Arkansas, Pine Bluff, Arkansas, Mississippi State, Vandy, then South Carolina, and the 17th ranked Aggies on the SEC network. An A&M team looking to go 8-0 all time against South Carolina. The Kentucky football team, of course, off this week. Mintz in a hurry.
I appreciate them being off. Our hotel accommodations a little bit better on a non-football.
Yeah, we didn't have to stay in Louisville.
That's right. No Kentucky fans want to stay in there.
Well, and a fine season at that for the Gridiron Cats. A whistle, and that foul takes us to a timeout. The blue-white game inside Rupp Arena. Tavion Mintz, he's the veteran of the crew, gets on the board with that sweet layup.
Big Blue Madness is back, and it's back in a big way.
You create an environment unlike any other to honor what makes this the greatest tradition in the history of college basketball. You people are crazy. You're nuts.
I think Coach Cal nailed it, and they are nuts about this team. Here are the freshmen, the new folks that this fan base gets to watch this season. It's Damian Collins, Bryce Hopkins, Ty Washington. He is the 5-star of the group, but all 3 top 35 in Paul Biancardi's ESPN 100 rankings this year.
You talk about who
There's a lot of scoring, by the way, on the side there.
Well, you talk about who may benefit the most from this veteran roster and these transfers. It's those guys right there. I mean, how nice is it to come in as a freshman and not be looked at as the savior, or that guy's got to be player of the year if we're going to go far. They can come into their own, they can run their own race, and everybody's not just looking at them to be some sort of savior for this program. And top to bottom, you look at all those guys, I think they're going to have significant minutes, and that's going to be the biggest challenge for Coach Cal. Is these guys, you know, as a coach, you don't really want to go over 8 in your rotation. But you see 10 guys that should play, but they won't all play.
By the way, tonight it's row 1, seat 1 for John Calipari. He acts as the fan this evening. You've got the assistants, of course, coaching. No kidding, he's sitting with the fans over there. Orlando Antigua, Chin Coleman, they are the quote-unquote coaches of the Blue Squad. Bruiser Flint, Jay Lucas. They guide the white. Blue team by 8. I don't know what the line was on this earlier today. The rosters were only announced, what, maybe 4 o'clock or so, but Blues look pretty good.
Here's my prediction is Xavier Wheeler's team is going to win all the scrimmages. You know, if they mix up the rotations, whatever it is, I'm such a believer in the better point guard play gets the better results, and here he is.
Oh, nails the 3 right on cue. All right, so what particularly, though, stands out about this backcourt, about the way Wheeler works with this crew?
Well, I think he's got the right mindset. He knows how important winning is. That's why he came to Kentucky. They just weren't winning the way he hoped to at Georgia. But he's also adjusting to not having the ball in his hands for so much of a possession. And he can rely on his teammates and be a facilitator. Coach Cal said at practice today and shared with us, he gave Xavier Wheeler an article on Kyle Lowry for the Miami Heat. Lowry went 1 for 6 the other night. His stat line didn't look very good, and his teammates raved about him, how he set us all up. He put us in the right position, and he's the reason we won. And that's what he wants Wheeler to understand, and I'm sure he will.
And again, everybody should be familiar with this junior from Houston, Texas. Just spent the last 2 years at Georgia, led the SEC in assists per game a season ago.
And let me tell you, he got 7 assists a game, Kevin, without many scorers or shooters around him. It was remarkable. And he's not a great shooter himself, but you still couldn't keep him out of the lane. His penetration opens up so many things, not just for shooters, but those spoon feeds. Oscar Tshiebwe's had a couple of those tonight, where he just gets in there, gets the defense in there, and dishes it off.
He entered the transfer portal at the tail end of last year. He said there was a little bit of a lengthy process. Jay Lucas, who, by the way, is a Houston native as well, reaches out. He says, hey, we're interested, but give us a little time. And of course, that was right on the heels of the absolutely tragic passing of Terrence Clark. And Xavier was wise to wait for that communication to grow. He said everything they told me about how I was going to be challenged and nothing was going to be promised was exactly what I was looking for. Plus, I want to win. He thinks he could do that here with this team.
He understands that the better the team does, the more the individual benefit. His goal is to make it to the NBA, and he said in order to do that, I've got to win. And I think he's willing to sacrifice individual stats and accolades to be part of a winning program.
fan on the court, although I think security will allow Coach Cal to walk over there and guide this group, provide a little instruction. This really is a fun event. It really acts as the official introduction.
Well, there's the tease beforehand, right? It's the pro day, and you're seeing them up and down. Then you see the Big Blue Madness, and you see the three-point shooting and the dunk contest, and that's all fun and hype. But then it's like, all right, forget the festivities. I want to see these dudes ball, and that's the first look, is the blue-white game.
Some adjustments, by the way. A couple of trades. Ty Washington, Bryce Hopkins now on the white team.
All right, so it's plus 15 right now for blue. So we'll keep an eye on Wheeler's team, and if they gain traction or lose it.
Dante Allen, Kellen Grady to the blue. I don't know, was there any tampering going on there for these trades? Was everything legitimate? Were the contracts fulfilled by those players?
I just like to hear in the locker room when they all say, like, no, I was going to be on the winning team till you trade me over there.
This is Washington, fights through a double. Bounce pass down into traffic. Last touch by Tshiebwe, so stays with the white team. 6 on the shot clock.
So curious who they have on white running the point right now. Will they be moving Mintz over, or will they let Ty Washington be the primary ball handler here? Mintz did such a heroic job last year.
Oh, Ware stuffs it back after the Mintz attack of the basket.
Mintz more of a natural 2-guard and scorer, but boy, by the end of the year, you didn't know it. He handled the point guard position really well for this team.
Down low to Tshiebwe. The pivot, no. Man, that time shot affected by Ware.
Well, and that's somewhere I don't think you're going to get Tshiebwe his points, is back to the basket, post moves. His is going to be transition buckets, spoon feeds, offensive rebounds.
Ware cleans up the glass again. You know, that time it was off of the Hopkins drive. Hopkins and Collins, I mean, really all 3 freshmen have not been shy attacking the basket. This is Collins, the tall, lanky freshman from Atlanta, Texas.
But look how uncongested the paint is. You know, you got a shot blocker coming over, this and that, but yeah, the guards need to rebound down more if you're Kentucky. But the reason they're on the perimeter is because there's perimeter threats this year. And that's going to be the same thing throughout the season that they didn't have the luxury of last year, where it was just so hard to get in the lane, get any clean looks. And
look at Tshiebwe again. Menacing down low. Back out to Allen, rims out. And back-to-back offensive boards for the junior.
Well, that's great, but at some point, if you're White or whoever's going up against Tshiebwe, it's like, all right, quit letting this dude dominate the boards. Like, who's going to take that personal and get mad? Because Coach Cal said, I mean, that's the tiebreaker. If I can only play 8 guys on a rotation, who's the tougher one? Who can defend? Who's going to take it personal?
Davion Mintz, one of the leaders of this team, nails the long 2. I just want to underscore something you mentioned there, taking it personal, as Grady leaves it short on the drive. That sounds like a lot of the Kentucky practices that we've heard from Coach Cal. Competitiveness, there's been fight, taking it personal. And these players, all of them have pushed one another in a variety of ways.
It just comes down to don't get punked. and when so many teams are going to be coming into Rupp Arena, or when they host Kentucky, they're going to be trying to hit them in the mouth out of the gate and see if they can't make it physical, and that's where Tshiebwe brings such a great presence. But instead of relying on him to be the physical part, it's raise your physicality to meet his.
Less than 8 to go, first half. The blue-white scrimmage, annual tradition. Got close to 10,000 in this building. They pack it out. Kellen Grady sticks the 3. The Davidson transfer. Everybody remembers Stephen Curry's time at Davidson, but this is a 2,000-point scorer.
Yeah. Well, watch how Grady spots up and hunts his shot here. Wheeler keeps his head up. He starts in the corner, relocates to the wing. Shot ready, splash. Welcome to Rupp Arena, Kellen Grady.
We all remember the very much pandemic-affected 2020-21 season of college basketball, also for the Kentucky Wildcats. So look at some of these images from back during the summer. Coach Calipari and the team visiting hospitals, youth centers, community centers. The one main goal he had when his players returned, of course safely and with masks and proper precautions, was we have to go re-engage the community again. Let's go get back out there. We couldn't do this a year ago. Let's show the community what Kentucky basketball is like off the court. We had a chance to interact with a number of players today. This team, there's a lot of engaging players, and I bet they love that. Just visiting with youth centers, community centers, thanking the frontline workers at hospitals this summer. Really neat to see.
Absolutely, and kudos to them for understanding that it's a responsibility when you wear that blue and white, and you've got to get out there in the community with the impact that they can have. And unfortunately, they had to take a year off due to COVID, but got right back out there, and they can brighten somebody's day like the average person might not be able to because they're a Kentucky player or a Kentucky coach.
Last year, home attendance limited to 3,000 fans per game, of course, because of social distancing measures. That's now 5 offensive rebounds for Tshiebwe. Grady open. Can't hit it, though. Dan, you and I looked around the arena about an hour before this thing tipped, and there were about 3,000 fans already here.
Well, and all 3,000 of them were walking away saying, man, that 34 is a monster.
Right.
But again, here's my problem, though. Okay, hypothetically, Oscar Tshiebwe picks up 2 quick fouls in a big game against Duke. Then what, right? Who's going to bring the physicality then? And so I think that's the challenge for the rest of this Kentucky team.
Baby Collins, he and Tshiebwe combined on that block. Hopkins trying to one-up his teammates. Tonight, foes, but it's goaltending.
Well, you've got rim protectors on this team. Look at those wingspans coming together. Damian Collins still trying to get a feel for the game, seeing them in shoot around today. It can be tough on a freshman where you can't play as naturally because a lot of times in your head you're wondering, am I in the right spot? Am I making the right cut? But once those things become second nature and he can just play his game, watch out.
You're going to be more inclined to believe me now after that block, but would you believe me if I said number 4 in the blue was a high school high jump champion?
Yes. What I wouldn't believe you is if you told me he was into horseback riding, but he is.
And he stuffs that back. All 6'9" of them. Usually you walk up to those horses, those things kind of tower over you, not Damian. Well, he's in the perfect state for it. Well done. Oh, perfect swish. Ty Washington. He picked Xavier Wheeler's pocket a couple of possessions ago. Washington plays with how his teammates described just this unique poise and calmness for a freshman. And a turnover here gives it back to the other squad.
Well, this is one way to get yourself involved. Go get the offensive rebound, put it in. I mean, if you're a guy like Collins, you're probably not going to get a lot of play calls. I mean, that's how you're going to get your buckets is through hustle plays on this type of team. That's how you're going to stay in the rotation.
He's from Atlanta, Texas. It's about as far northeast Texas as one gets. Safe to say it's the second largest Atlanta in the country. Washington leaner, got it.
Well, and Wheeler said he wants to go up against the best every single day. He's seen it. I mean, the freshman Washington is giving Wheeler some problems right now, both on the defensive end and offensive end.
That's number 3 in the white now. He switched over to the white squad. Grady sticks it. Kind of fading away, and he nails it.
Just so smart and quick catch and release. For young shooters out there, watch how he just never stands still on the perimeter. Just relocates 5 feet, open, money.
Here is Washington, who you spotlighted before. Less than 5 to go first half. Blue-white scrimmage. Couple weeks from opening night. Turnover. Grady on the move. Yes. Now Grady into double figures. This is his graduate season. The Boston native. 4 years at Davidson. 4-year starter. You get to close out your college career playing inside Rupp Arena. Hopkins offline. Wheeler ahead of the pack. Oh, and he still was able to fling that up over the long reach of Ware. Just good body control from the experienced guard.
And there's no luck about that. Wheeler's been doing that his whole life. But right now, Kellen Grady's putting on a show. Kentucky needed to address shooting and scoring in the offseason. Insert Kellen Grady. This guy's been doing it his whole life. Here he goes with the easy two.
Only one place to start your Saturday. That's set on the SEC Network. It all gets started with Marty and McGee at 9. Then you've got SEC Nation, follows it up at 10 Eastern. And this week they're live at Oxford for the LSU Ole Miss game. You can also catch it on the ESPN app, one tap. And you got Ole Miss 5-1. They're right behind Alabama, but in essence, 2 games behind the tie. They lost them a couple of weeks ago. I still like the get your popcorn ready thing from Lane.
You know, as a Tennessee alum, I stayed up way later than I wanted to, and you know, waiting for the water bottle throwing to cease, make sure that didn't forfeit the game. We had 3 timeouts left, and I thought we were going to get fined for throwing water bottles and then possibly get fined for rushing the field after a crazy victory. But unfortunately, only a fine for fan behavior.
You forgot Gold's mustard bottles. It wasn't even Heights. It was Keon Brooks. That's good.
I like Kermit Davis's.
That's a laugh, by the way.
Yeah, I like Kermit Davis's
comment. Moment last week.
Ole Miss basketball head coach when he was talking about the golf ball that went at Lane Kiffin. He said, he goes, "I've seen Lane tee off. He needs to save that ball for the spring. He's going to need that."
An extra one in the bag. Now that was tipped. And it was tipped by White, so Blue's going to inbound. Yeah, then meanwhile, look at the SEC East on the gridiron. Kentucky, of course, falling to Georgia last week, but still right behind the Dogs. I think a lot of teams are going to suffer that same fate. Xavier Wheeler to the bucket again.
I bet Ty Washington didn't see that move in speed last year as a prep athlete.
Here's Mintz, very shifty. Number 10 in the white to Hopkins. That one might have been blocked on the way up.
See, and that's okay to me. I mean, that's a good physical drive, getting at the rim. Inside shots lead to inside rebounds. I look at that as a positive play for Hopkins.
Wheeler finds Collins on the baseline. And his head up the whole way.
There are going to be some games this year where Kentucky wins the points in the paint 30-4. I mean, they have the opportunity to just dominate down there with some of this size and length. And then when you think about points in the paint, you're not thinking about Xavier Wheeler, but it's usually him either finishing or passing, as he did right there.
This roster just totally reloaded, totally revamped in a unique way, if you will, this year. I mean, outside of the haul that Texas brought in, out of the transfer portal, if you will, Kentucky's crew was just as strong.
Well, and when you're somebody like Kentucky, it's not this easy. But you look at the transfer portal, and it's almost a right of first refusal. I mean, so many of those guys that are looking for a new setting, and you can cherry pick and say, all right, here's the guys we need that fit this team and culture, and we're going to go get them. And more times than not, Kentucky's going to win that recruiting battle.
Appears to be the ultimate bounce back season for this program. Last year was the program's second losing season since the 20s. That's a long time. There's Ty Washington.
Yeah, what I love about that isn't just the result. It's the quick read. He saw Wheeler go underneath that screen and immediately stopped and shot.
Wheeler uncontested on the other end. A rejuvenated backcourt for the Cats this year. Lance Ware can't hit it from 12. Brooks comes flying in. Collins blocks it. And Hopkins with the offensive rebound. One of the 3 freshmen in the 21 class. Beautiful feed down to Lance Ware. Davion Mintz flung it inside for 2. Blue by 16, even after some roster changing. 90 seconds to go in the first half. Tshiebwe tried to flick it back with the right hand. That wouldn't go. Brooks fouled by Wheeler.
here's what I was talking about on that Ty Washington 3. Look at him read the ball screen here. Wheeler's got him. He said, oh, I'm going to go under this. Oh, you better not. I mean, if he's going to make defenses go over the top. And then when they go over the top, he's got the speed and quickness to attack the paint. And that's where you get the finish at the rim or the lob dunk opportunities when you get the paint because you're a threat from outside.
Got it and one.
That's tough.
The fadeaway 15-foot J. He makes the right decision once more.
I mean, this dude can take a defender's confidence real quick. I mean, Wheeler's sitting there like, man, I'm fast, I'm on him, I'm there. I even hit the ball on the way up. And Washington scores as if nobody was even there.
So he wears that number 3. He says, Allen Iverson's always been my favorite player. That's where the number 3 comes from. But you're saying it's not just the skill, not just the ability to hit the 3, Allen offline. It's just the headiness to make the right decision in those moments.
Well, and you're going to have that when you play on the stage the way he's going to be thrown into. You got Champions Classic coming up in less than a month against Duke. And you got to have that type of demeanor to not have stage fright.
2 exhibition games each of the next 2 Fridays, and then you're right, Tuesday the 9th, look alive. There's an indicator. We're back to normal. There's that Champions Classic right out of the chute. All right, we're not done after this blue-white game. Later on SEC Network, you got the SEC Now crew back to break down not just football tomorrow, but they're going to recap the Kentucky volleyball game that follows us across campus at Memorial Coliseum at 11 on the SEC Network.
If you've ever gone to a Kentucky practice, you will hear multiple times, 2 hands, 2 hands. Coach Cal wants 2-hand rebounds. But not just 2-hand rebounds. Twice now Oscar Tshiebwe has had those lobs where he's tried to do the 1-hand flick. I guarantee you Coach Cal is saying, Oscar, 2 hands on that ball and you would have had 4 points. He converts 2 of them there at the free throw line.
He needs a sewing kit at halftime. You see the part his teammates have been tearing at the jersey to try to stop him. Hopkins' good idea was just a little late trying to bounce it to Ware. Out of bounds with 31.7 till half. Washington, by the way, with 12 since he switched to the white, 14 overall, and so we see the deficit has been shrunk just a bit to 11.
It was a plus 15 blue,
yeah,
right, when they made the switch, so making progress.
Washington to inbound. Lost it. Collins jarred it away. Up ahead to Wheeler. He's got Tshiebwe.
Assist to Wheeler.
I mean, you just can't teach that effort and energy to sprint the court like that. For any young big man out there, I mean, that's how you end up averaging a double-double.
Oh, that was way up there for Ware. First half ends with a flourish. Did that
Give
one
it to him.
count? A stat pattern from half court. I think R.B. Clyburn or pardon Troy Mathis, he might have waved that one off.
Yeah,
so
you gotta love the flurry. You end with a lob. you got dunk, half court shot to end the game. I think these Kentucky fans are ready for basketball.
Now they have been treated to some fun display of hoops inside Rupp Arena. Half number 1 is complete. Oscar Tshiebwe was brilliant. He had 15 to lead all scorers. Ty Washington dazzled. Kellen Grady hit some buckets. Half number 2 coming up soon enough. Halftime inside Rupp. But now let's go to the studio. Here's Dari Noka. Blue-white scrimmage inside Rupp Arena. The blue team with the 11-point cushion over the white. Always a fun event. Really the first time Coach Cal's Kentucky Wildcats are in action, live action, before the start of the season. With Dane Bradshaw, Kevin Fitzgerald with you. We saw a lot of offense. I could ask any of the nearly 10,000 in here who impressed them most, but I'm asking you, who stood out in that first half?
There was a bunch of them, but I look at some of the newcomers. Let's start with Ty Washington. I mean, the freshman, you talk about his poise, his maturity. I thought he showed us the entire package. First, let's take a look at his court vision, getting in the lane and throwing that signature Calipari lob dunk up there and finding his big man rolling. And then here's the floater game. And you want the mid-range? I got that for you. And oh, by the way, you try to go under a ball screen, stop, pop, butter. I mean, this guy can go, but Oscar Tshiebwe, to me, stole the show just with his dominance all over the court. Right place, right time, finishing at the rim at a high percentage, understanding, playing within himself. And you talk about playing to your strengths, that's Oscar Tshiebwe. And it's not always just about out-physical and out-toughing the guy. Sometimes being the tougher player is sprinting the court harder. And that's what he did multiple times, and how he got so many of those easy buckets. Really impressive start.
Yeah, and of course, a lot of these numbers are going to look a little inflated, but the 12 points for Washington, you've just referenced his poise. Tshiebwe, meanwhile, a near double-double, 15 points, 9 boards, 5 of those offensive rebounds. So I'm hearing a lot of what you're saying, and I'm going to bring up something that you just said in the break. It illustrates, right, that this is a team that's got a high IQ. Why do you think that it's a high IQ team?
Absolutely. And you look at the big men, and they're always looking for their guards. They're in the right spot. They're rotating well. But when you look at the guard play, Xavier Wheeler, yeah, a few turnovers, but high IQ guy for sure. Davion Mintz, really high IQ guy. Kellen Grady, no-brainer there. And then you see what Ty Washington's able to do. He's like the kid in AU where you're like, there's no way he's 12. He's got to be 15. I mean, he looks like an older player out there.
Yeah.
But when I think one of the lineups that Coach Cal's going to experiment with probably this year is sort of that 4-guard lineup. Because Tshiebwe is almost like having 2 big men in one down there in the post. You got him being the anchor, and then you put Grady, Mintz, Wheeler, and Washington spreading out, being scorers, slashers, shooters. That could be a problem on the offensive end.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest facelift unequivocally is the backcourt from last year to this season. You know, there were a lot of offensive limitations, and this team was towards the bottom of the SEC in a lot of key offensive stats, points per game, field goal percentage, from beyond the arc as well. Those are going up, no question, this year.
And that was a ticky-tack foul just now on Tshiebwe, but you got to compliment him. He knows how to play physical without fouling, and that is such a key to a big man. Oftentimes, these big guys that want to dominate and get in fist fights down low in the paint, then they find themselves in foul trouble, right? You know, you look at it inside the SEC. Jeremiah Tillman, who had a great career at Missouri, spent most of his time on the bench in foul trouble. You know, it wasn't until his final year that he kind of learned to play with what we're seeing Tshiebwe have, which is picking and choosing your spots and being physical without fouling.
There's Washington, that sweet floater. You just see some of these skills mastered already as a freshman. Technically, his freshman season hasn't begun yet. That's not until November 9th. By the way, you see the running clock. So we're going to go running clock this second half. I'm going to need some high IQ from you. We're going to need ideas. We're going till 9. We got an hour to fill. So when it hits zeros.
Yeah, unfortunately for our viewers, it's not a running clock on your commentators. We're here with you till 9.
Here's Allen, skips into the paint, got it. That's Dante Allen. So remember, he's from up the road, Falmouth, Kentucky. It's his first traditional offseason in a sense. Oh, straight to the basket. And Keon Brooks stuffs it.
So off a made basket, they get the ball up the court in 3 seconds. Washington gets in the paint in 2 seconds. Dunk. I mean, that was a 7-second. You talk about a fast break off of a make. That was it.
Tshiebwe now a double-double. Wheeler bumped. Scanning to Brooks. Fade away. Tshiebwe just rips it away. Out to Wheeler. Wants the 3. This time Hopkins clears it. Yeah, 23 in the white. He's got some guard skills as well. The 6'6" freshman from just outside of Chicago. One of the finest Out of Chicago, this 2021 class. Washington steals it. He's going up. No, the fake out to Grady with the left-hand layup.
I think this is why you see Coach Cal wanting the running clock. Guys are getting a little fatigued. Transition defense, you don't want to develop too many bad habits in this type of scrimmage setting.
No, that's the key for the scrimmage. It's 6 aside. We haven't mentioned some of the walk-ons as well. Brennan Canada, Kareem Watkins, and Payne. And a couple of absent players as well. Another offensive rebound for Tshiebwe. Wheeler blocked by Collins, and he rips it away.
Oh, if you're Collins, you got to talk trash in the locker room after that. Like, Tshiebwe, I took that thing from you.
And he's almost the beneficiary.
You're not going to have too many chances to pull the ball away from Tshiebwe.
Again, very quickly the other way, and Washington lays it in. Timeout. And John Calipari says, let's take a breather. Quick 30-second timeout. Timeout inside Rupp Arena. The blue-white scrimmage in Lexington tonight. SEC preseason team announced this week, just a few days ago. A couple of Alabama guards. You got Colin Castleton, Iverson Molinar, Scottie Pippen Jr. voted the preseason player of the year. But there you go. You've got Xavier Wheeler, the former Georgia Bulldog, now Kentucky Wildcat, lands on that first team. High expectations for the SEC's reigning assists leader. So what do you think? What do you make of?
Well, first I look at that, and you see no incoming freshmen, and this league is filled with a ton of huge talent. Not only Ty Washington here, but you look at Kennedy Chandler over at Tennessee, J.D. Davidson, Alabama, but how good they are, the returners are, speak for themselves. I got a little bit of an issue. Like, if you're the media, you can't, and Pippen might be the best player in this league. He might put up the best numbers, but you can't pick a Vanderbilt player for SEC Player of the Year and then also pick them to finish 13th. Like, sure. When has that ever happened? Yeah. And I guarantee you, in the coaches poll every year, pretty much it's best player on best team, right? The AP might give it away, like Mason Jones a couple years ago. He got it. Yonte Maton at Georgia.
Right.
But in the coaches poll, it was Grant Williams and Emmanuel Quickly, I believe, in the year on Mason Jones.
Right. So,
look, a lot of talented guys across the board there for sure. That would be my only big beef, but I tell you, keep your eye out for Kennedy Chandler at Tennessee. He and Xavier Wheeler matching up, big time rivalry there.
Blue team 66, white 48. I like that kid's hair. I think he's right. He's rooting for the right team. The blue up by 18. Here is the SEC preseason poll again, announced just a few days ago. Dane, let's pick up right where we were a couple of moments ago before we went to a timeout. Just looking around the entire league landscape, 5 teams at the top. Also in the AP Top 25 poll released last week. It is a strong top half of the league. We've heard the coaches discuss depth. Yeah. And there you go. You've got those 5 that should make a lot of noise this year at the top.
And I think if you look at the top there, what's the common denominator as the landscape of college basketball has changed? All of them benefited from the transfer portal. They weren't hurt by it. They retained their best talent. They recruited really well, and they brought in some veteran, proven players. And man, it's going to be an absolute battle in the SEC this season. And you talk about fan expectations. There's probably 8 or 9 of those teams not only expecting to get to the NCAA tournament, but if you ask the fan base outside of Kentucky, you know, what would you be happy with this year? 8 or 9 of them are saying, you know, maybe Sweet 16. Like, do you know how hard it is to get to the Sweet 16, to make the tournament, win 2 games? But I do think there's going to be, you know, and it's how the SEC's reputation has changed. One, not only did we have to start getting more teams in the NCAA tournament, but they had to have good seeds in advance. And that's what happened that year when South Carolina made their run to the Final Four, Florida to the Elite 8, and it wasn't just relying on Kentucky to carry the banner for the SEC.
And you see some of those teams ranked. It's Arkansas, it's Auburn, it's Alabama. Again, you look at the last couple of decades or last 10, 15 years, and those are not the teams you would typically see out of the SEC in the preseason top 25, or really in the top 25 at any point. I like to look at the draft as a great indicator as well. You had 7 from the SEC drafted in the first round for a 3rd straight year. 12 players out of the SEC drafted in the NBA draft, leading the way, of course, with the 7 in the first round this past year. That's a lot of pro potential, if you will. A lot of Oscar Tshiebwe, menacing Oscar Tshiebwe as well, meanwhile, and other stuff.
At the risk of getting it wrong, I'm pretty sure I saw the stat that 1 out of every 6 players in the NBA is an SEC guy. And it's almost like on Monday Night Football when you see the roster start to announce, oh, I'm so-and-so from Kentucky, I'm so-and-so. Like, you're seeing that in the NBA now. You turn on a game, and you're not surprised to see somebody from Tennessee, LSU, and then, of course, Kentucky dominating.
Here's Brooks to the rack. Look at Kentucky in the NBA draft. We know this one. We know this story and how it's gone. That's 13 drafts, or make it 12. 32 first-rounders.
Yeah, at some point, I know Coach Cal and his staff are tireless recruiters, but at some point, don't you just show that and be like, do you really want me to keep like, you really want me to show you around campus and everything? Like, you're trying to get to the league. Here's what we've done. Can we quit, tiptoeing around this and let's just sign up with Kentucky?
Does Eric Lindsay really have to give another presentation? The excellent SID, of course, he and Deb Moore. This is Carroll trying to stretch it. Yes. Damian Collins caught it.
Vince had Wheeler on skates a little bit there. Wheeler's not used to having somebody out quick him. But there is speed all over this court, led by that guy, number 2.
Grady open. Tshiebwe says, I'll flip it back behind the head, and Grady still converts. I think some of Davion Mintz's passes are going to appear on the highlight reel before that Tshiebwe assist. Wheeler the other way.
Oftentimes when guys are forced to have to play point guard, it's a blessing in disguise, because the following year, I mean, you see that, but I mean, it just makes you so much of a better player when you can play that point guard spot, and it makes your primary point guard a better player when he knows he's got a point guard mentality as his right-hand man.
The rejuvenated Calipari-led Kentucky Wildcats. Oscar Tshiebwe, the transfer from West Virginia. He always wanted to go here. Now he's wearing that Kentucky.
We got a long way to go, but it's when you have some veterans, and I usually don't have many veterans. And I'm saying some kids that transferred in, and some kids within the organization, within the team. They know how to get ready for practice. They're on time for things. They do what they're supposed to. I kind of forgotten because I have all 17 and 18-year-olds. And you're almost teaching that stuff too. So the competitiveness, the guard play, the physicalness, the shooting, we got a chance. But, it's a long way away. We've had great practices. I'm happy that they're competing. I'm stretching them out. My job is to make them uncomfortable. Their job is to be comfortable being uncomfortable. And so I'm kind of stretching them out a little bit.
This is unequivocally the Hall of Famer's oldest and most experienced team to start a season. His 13 years, he's got 9 juniors and seniors on this roster, Dane, and that's including not only a 5th-year senior, but Davion Mintz, the 6th-year senior, the super senior, because of the expanded eligibility this year. A lot of years of experience collectively on this roster.
Yeah, but with that said, not together. And so while they look like a cohesive unit now, and everything's been good, these guys hadn't had adversity hit them yet. So what happens when you're down maybe double digits against Duke? Yeah, you're veterans and all that, but you hadn't really been in a huddle with other guys before when you're going through that adversity. Who's going to be the vocal leader? Who's going to be the guy that's going to say, Coach, let me guard their best player. Let me take him out of the game and shut him down. So I'm curious to see who emerges. It doesn't mean they don't have it. We just don't know that answer.
And we asked Coach Cal earlier today at the team shoot-around, and similar answer. You know, we're not quite sure just yet. There can be a few. There's many folks that cover this team that think Ty Washington can be that person that you're outlining. Tshiebwe doesn't realize how open he is for one more stuff. But could it be a Keon Brooks? You know, an experienced junior who has been here for now 3 years. Can it be Wheeler, who really commands the offense in practice? His teammates have lauded that. We're going to find out. The answer is still TBD right now.
Yeah. And I would like to think Wheeler has the most potential for that. Or at least that would be your preferred choice, I should say, if you're a Kentucky fan, just because he's going to have the ball in his hands, you know, more than any other player. So when you need a bucket or you need a long possession, a good shot, and how to take the crowd out of the game, he's got the potential to do that more maybe than a post player who's not going to be as involved on every single possession.
Ware and Grady dunks on either side. You know, it could be Davion Mintz as well.
Sure.
You want to know the total amount of collective minutes logged on this roster? Yeah, more than 13,000. How about that?
Yeah, right. Wow. Well, you got Davion Mintz. What? He's in his 6th year.
Right.
I've heard of the victory lap, but not 2 of them. He's taking the Tommy Boy approach to Kentucky basketball,
yeah.
except a lot of people go to college for 7 years. Yeah, they're called doctors. But to Mintz's credit, he's a great student athlete. There's no Tommy Boy academics on him. You're so young, I don't even know if you get my Chris Farley references.
I do. I know the movie. And
golly, can somebody give me somebody in their 30s or 40s around here that can do some,
well, you know,
Billy, some Adam Sandler, Chris Farley quotes with me?
You
can't work with guys like this.
You know my affinity for a good comedy. I can get you a lot of Chris Farley SNL references. Yeah. Look, this is going to be a dangerous admission almost.
Yeah, but you probably learned all that like on YouTube or something,
well,
watching it like a millennial instead of sitting down on the couch at 11:30 and seeing it live.
I plead the fifth.
Yeah.
Tommy Boy is one I've got to get to. Just because I don't consume 80s comedies
you admitted it on the air. You admitted it on the air. This man has never seen Tommy Boy, and I'll just leave it at that.
That might be early 90s.
We'll try to regain our chemistry knowing that weakness.
That's 90s. With great teammate Dane Bradshaw, Devin Fitzgerald, Damian Collins drills another. Now these freshmen have showed quite a bit of balance as well. Collins, Hopkins, we've talked at length about Washington. I mentioned it before, there's a couple players absent, Dane, and we would be remiss if we didn't mention, don't forget the other member of that transfer hall, C.J. Frederick, the sharpshooter from Iowa.
Yeah.
And no one in the Big Ten was more accurate from beyond the three-point line than Frederick the last 2 years. Plus, Jacob Toppin, reliable role player from last year's team, also hurt, inactive for the scrimmage tonight.
Well, Kentucky may have some off shooting nights, but that's just going to be bad luck off night. I mean, they are not going to be unsuccessful this season because they don't have shooters. They've got shooters, and teams are not going to be able to sit back and play zone, sink it in, or these Kentucky shooters will make them pay.
Blue with a huge lead, 93-65 at Lexington. Tubby Smith, former head coach at Kentucky. It was announced just a few days ago that on December 31st, when his High Point squad visits Rupp Arena to take on Kentucky, he will have his name lifted to the rafters inside this arena. Dane, a brilliant career, leading Kentucky to a national championship back in 1998. He coached here from 97 to 2007. He's been a head coach for 30 years now. In the college ranks, more than 600 wins. And yeah, he'll be up there with Adolph Rupp, with Rick Pitino, with Joe B. Hall, all of the iconic names that hang in this building. Really exciting to see that announced a couple of days ago.
Just the ultimate honor in this Kentucky program, and well-deserved. Tubby Smith, he's got one of those exclusive banners, and you think at a place like Kentucky, more years than not, you've got a shot at winning a national title. But boy, as we all know, it is easier said than done. Tubby Smith bringing the gold home back in '98.
I think it was at Media Day, right? Coach Cal was conveying to everyone. He called Tubby a couple of days ago, broke the news, and he said, you don't, of course Tubby knows, but he just reaffirmed it. This place, you mean so much to these fans still, and this place, and of course he's been at High Point since 2018. So
I love the quote where he said, he goes, my only problem is, Tubby, my fans better not give you a better ovation as the opposing coach than they give me. But I got a feeling Coach Cal is going to have to lose that one on that special night for Coach Smith.
So here's Lance Ware wide open, the sophomore from Camden, New Jersey. Great Camden High career. In the words of Matt Norlander, trivia time, who was the most outstanding player of that '98 national championship team? And you can't cheat. You can't look at my...
Padgett?
Well, he was on the roster, Scott Padgett.
You're going to have to tell me here. Now, see, I embarrassed you on the Tommy Boy reference. Now you're going to embarrass me to the Kentucky fan base.
See, what goes around comes around, my friend. Jeff Shepard, most outstanding player of that year's team. There's Washington with another triple, but also on that team, you've got, yeah, right. That was your second guess. Najee Muhammad was on that team. Jamal McGlure. They went on to have successful NBA careers. Steve Masiello, too. He's now the head coach at Manhattan. Look at Mintz. Some handles. Well, you just said that a little while back. You've liked what you've seen from Davion Mintz. 4 years at Creighton, transferred here last season. What's he going to look? What's this season going to look like for him?
I think when all coaches say, I want to know what I'm going to get from players night in, night out, and Mintz is a guy that Coach Cal can rely on every single game. I mean, he doesn't mean he's going to be perfect every single game, but he knows he's going to get a good decision maker, a solid defender, a guy that can handle the ball, make shots, and he doesn't have to worry, oh boy, is Davion going to be with us tonight? And where is he mentally? And he's, I thought last year that despite all the adversity, he grew as a player, and you saw that especially towards the end of the season in the SEC tournament as he took over point guard duties and really excelled.
Oh, a flourishing flush, Damian Collins. Mids on the other end, left it short. Yeah, Collins, number 4 in the blue. He is going to have plenty of highlights, and they'll be at the top of the reel, I think, at the end of this season. Zan Payne into the game. Former assistant Kenny Payne's son, of course, now in his second year as an assistant on the Knicks staff. All right, it's getting late tonight. We're just inching closer to a triple header of college football tomorrow. Arkansas, Pine Bluff, Arkansas kicks things off at noon on this network. Mississippi State, Vandy up next. South Carolina, Texas A&M to close it out. SEC Saturday night, the usual crew: Tom Hart, Jordan Rogers, Cole Kubelik. There's Hopkins. Drills another 3. Tennessee, oh, that's right. They've got, they're in Alabama, in Tuscaloosa, I should say, tomorrow. So good luck to your Vols.
Everybody loves that for a bounce back game.
You want to know the line on that? All right, probably better.
24?
Hey, you're close. 25 right now. Tshiebwe from 15. Nice. What an interesting journey for number 34 in the blue. Remember, he took an official visit to Lexington before committing to West Virginia ahead of the 2019 season. And another rack attack. Kentucky finished on the medal stand, if you will, a close second to West Virginia. And then he transferred here middle of last season. That's worth noting. You can't overlook. He's actually been with the program since January. Look at these games coming up. These are the notable non-conference games. Always a difficult schedule for Kentucky. Duke, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Louisville. It's the gauntlet.
It is great to have
timeout as the coach speaks in Lexington. Saturday started on the SEC Network. Marty and McGee, the terrific tandem, kick things off at 9. Then SEC Nation. The crew is in Oxford this week, previewing LSU, Ole Miss, of course, everything else around the league as well. Right here on the SEC Network or on the ESPN app. One app, one tap. Just a few moments ago, the Hall of Famer, John Calipari, he grabbed the mic, as he typically does this time of year, thanking the crowd. You know, Kentucky basketball, this is nothing new. It's just woven into the fabric of this state, into this community. Everybody in this city just has a pulse of the program, if you will. And yeah, you've got close to 10,000 that are in attendance for a scrimmage.
Well, when
and
Coach
here they
Cal,
are.
yeah, here they are. When Coach Cal talks about this isn't for everybody, it's not just how hard they practice and the demands. It's being under a microscope, and you're on a bigger platform here.
Hopkins, the slam.
Boy, he's
You
gonna
caught
be
it.
good.
The blue.
He already is
white
good, but he's going to
chance.
be really good.
Yeah. Look, the media has projected Kentucky to win the league. Yeah, there is Brendan Canada, the junior from Mount Sterling, Kentucky, right on cue. The tail end of this one. Got Kareem Watkins into the game as well. He's going off the backboard there. That one went awry.
Coach Cal's
this one, yeah, I think
I've seen enough.
So here comes the headman himself.
He's like, nobody's getting hurt in the last minute.
He's going to call it there
yeah.
with 90 seconds to go. I think Kareem Watkins' dunk attempt is going to close the door on this one, but there's a lot of appreciation. There's a lot of appreciation you can see from this fan base. (108-80) the final. Blue team wins.
They put on a show. A lot of good performances. You know, nobody disappointed. I think Tshiebwe gave you everything and more that you expected. Wheeler being the floor general. It got a little sloppy in the second half. I thought the beginning of the first half was probably the most competitive basketball you saw. But look, it was the strengths that we talked about that they now have that used to be weaknesses. They've got the point guard play, they've got the veterans, they've got the depth, they've got shooters, and they've got their toughness. And that causes plenty of reason to be excited for this upcoming season.
The head man himself, he's going to join us in just a couple moments to recap this one, tell you what he learned about his team. Coach Calipari joins us when we return. SEC Now tonight at 11 following the Kentucky volleyball game. That's coming up right after this in a few minutes. Join the crew on the SEC Network, also on the app, streaming live. Post-game blue-white scrimmage. We've got the Hall of Famer himself, John Calipari, joins us. We appreciate the time. You know, we saw you there after the near dunk attempt, kind of cut this thing off, but wisely so. But all right, you've been talking about this. You can't wait to see your team live action in front of the fans, the popcorn popping. What did you learn about your team tonight from what you saw?
Well, for 2 weeks of being together, they were organized, and when you have veteran players have played college for a while, they have an idea what the game is supposed to look like. Ty's pretty good.
He's tough.
Damian is pretty good. Oscar, I just wish he was a little bit stronger. If he was a little bit stronger, he'd be.
Yeah, you'll have to work on that.
But, you know, Xavier pushing it. all the guys. I could go through all 10 of them. I thought, you know, for this kind of event, to be able to, you know, not try to score it every time and then pass. I mean, they moved the ball. They did some good stuff.
The good news is Oscar Tshiebwe is an absolute monster. And not only does he out-tough guys with his physicality, but he out-toughs them with his energy running up and down the court. He outruns people. So that's the good news. The bad news is he's punking some of your guys. So who's the one that you think can step up if he's in foul trouble? Who's going to be the one to bring that physicality?
Well, you have both Lance and you have, you know, Damian, but you probably have to have another guy with physicality in there with Damian. Yeah. You know, it might be Bryce. Bryce did some good stuff today. But you know what? We got some time. It's both he, Xavier. They're going to be so much in the action. You got to talk. You can't be fouling. They can't. And what I mean is dumb fouls, like a reach-in. Right. Or a ball you're trying to leave your feet to block that you had no chance. What are you doing? So, but that takes time and experience. But, yeah, there were some good things.
With the depth you have at the guard spot, could you see yourself kind of going 4 guards around 1 big? I mean, with the amount of point guards and shooters, yeah, you would lose some size, but boy, do you have IQ in the backcourt.
Well, again, we got some guys that they're going to be, you're coming in to do one thing, shoot balls. Yeah. Like, that's how you play anyway. I don't want you to pound the ball. Don't pound it. You're the microwave. You come in and shoot balls. Well, we got a couple of those. Probably hard to play 2, but you can play. One of you guys is going to be that guy. But the biggest thing in all this is doing this together so you create easy shots for each other. You know, some of the stuff that we'll run to grind it out, we didn't want to do. We just wanted to get them up and down and pick and roll and, you know, do some things to get into some offense. I don't know. I have to look at the tape. I don't know if we were that good offensively or we stunk on defense. I don't know yet.
Well, and you've detailed now your practices. They're physical, they're competitive. I got to borrow a phrase that, Dane, you just mentioned there, high IQ. Do you feel collectively this team, they do have a high IQ? And why is that at this point?
Well, they're older. I mean, I don't coach many teams that are older. But you're talking about guys that have had 3 and 4 and 5 years of playing. We have 3 inexperienced guys. Ty plays the game as it happens. Damian kind of does what he does. He's not trying to force things. He plays a smart game. And Bryce, you know, who can be a 4, can be a 3. That is, I like a stretch 4 who can play like a guard. Yep. And that could be Keon, that could be Bryce, it could be Damian. You know, now all of a sudden you still have size, but, you know, you can play on the perimeter.
I thought Xavier Wheeler did a great job, not just with his speed down the court, but he had a couple of those advanced passes. Were you pleased overall with his play today? Despite a few turnovers, he had a few. But
yeah, I told him I thought early he wasn't giving it ahead. I said, just get rid of it quicker. And when it comes back to you, go make plays. The only other thing with size, I kept telling him, you just keep dribbling. And he did a couple times where he went under the goal and he gave us an easy basket. The guy missed a shot, but you're not going to make every shot. It's, are we making the right plays? And again, until I watch the tape, you know, I can sit here and, you know, I was on the other side. I just wanted to see flow. I wanted to see poise and pace, fly, but you're not. Your feet are moving fast, but your mind is not. Your mind is moving slower, and it's why we practice the way we do fast, to make them. You have to recognize what's there when you're flying, you're running, you know. And I thought Kellen was good today. I mean, Kellen did good stuff.
He hit some shots. Let's just spin it forward now. You've got Duke in a couple of weeks. You've got the exhibition games coming up.
Got 2 exhibition games before that game. And that, look, the exhibition games are going to be, you're finding maybe a rotation. Sure. You're finding, again, a team that plays different, you know, that we got to guard. Because I'm telling you, if everybody's the same on your team, you got a bunch of guards and you got who are you playing?
Right.
Who?
The guy that can defend, be tough, and rebound. That's the tiebreaker, right?
That's the tiebreaker. So, well, why is he that? Because the other guy defends better.
Full disclosure, I already got the answer at practice, so I kind of already knew it. But
so, you know, the toughness, you know, But they understand, because what you just said, they've been told 100 times that at the end of the day, there's going to be an equalizer, and it's going to be who's the toughest guy, who defends like crazy. How about this? Who talks on defense?
Right. Yeah.
That we become a better team when he's on the court compared to when you're on the court. Well, but I'm just as good. And that'll play out.
Are you a big plus-minus guy? Do you like that stuff?
I look at it, but I like my eyes looking at it as much as that. But they'll come back with some stuff that I did not recognize, and that's why I like the numbers.
Yeah. Well, you've got tape to go watch. You've got a team that is competitive. They like to fight. They like to show up to work every day, and they look pretty good tonight. So, Coach, we appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much. Great to see you, Coach.
Blue-white game, 2021 version. Coach has some fans he has to say hello to as well. They've stuck around right behind us as well. And Dane, blue-white game, 2021 in the books. All right, now you can go over your plus-minus statistics right now.
I was a plus-minus guy. It favored me back in the day. That's why I liked it.
Yeah, right.
If you use your eyes, I wouldn't have been on the court. But, no, I mean, you can hear the excitement in Coach Kyle's voice. It's not just him trying to send a message to the fan base and try to, encourage them about something that's not really there. I mean, there's reason to be excited. And, all those things. When he says he likes his team, it does make life less stressful for a coach when you have those reliable veteran guys that you don't have to worry about all the day-to-day stuff, the class checks, are you there on time, are they going out too late, all those things, and how are we going to punish this, discipline that. No, it's just coach ball, and that's what he's getting to do right now.
Yeah, it's an experienced team. It's a deep roster. He's got some talented freshmen as well. So Coach mentioned the exhibition games. Here's what's coming up. You can catch them on the SEC Network as well. The first is against Kentucky Wesleyan. That's next Friday. This runway, this lead-up to the main event. And that is the Champions Classic. That is Kentucky. It is Duke. It's number 9 and number 10 in the nation on ESPN. Season opener for college basketball. You see the fans. This is the return of the fan, the year of the fan. It's going to be a packed Madison Square Garden, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, ready or not, they don't have their zone in, probably not all their out-of-bounds plays, and you got Duke coming up. College basketball is here.
Blue-white 2021 in the books. Some impressive performances. This new look, revamped Kentucky team. A couple of weeks away from opening things up against Duke. Let's go to Dari in the studio.